Hi, my name's Jessica Haney, and my research was on partner preferences and attraction in human growth and development. The first topic that I'm going to talk about is how this has to do with human growth and development. And the area that it talks about is socio-emotional development. This is between early adulthood and middle adulthood, usually, in humans. And in early adulthood, partner preferences in this stage deals with romantic love. And this has to do with physical attraction, romance, and passion. Erickson's stage of development would be considered intimacy versus isolation. And it describes intimacy as finding oneself while losing oneself to another person. In comparison to middle adulthood, where it's affectionate love, and this deals with security, loyalty, mutual emotional interests. So if you compare that to early adulthood, they have different kind of characteristics. The evolutionary viewpoint on this topic is Darwin's sexual selection theory, and this has to do with all organisms and the idea that natural selection isn't the only mechanism leading to evolution. So species will select their mates based on preferable characteristics that they find that are going to better support and help themselves in the end. So now today we believe that natural selection includes sexual selection. So they're not two different areas that lead to evolution, but rather the same thing and just a subtopic of another. Assortative mating is the intentional coupling of individuals based on specific genotypic or phenotypic characteristics. And there's two types of this. There's character-specific assortative mating, and this is coupling based on the resemblance of a specific characteristic, like height or intelligence or hair color. And then the other one is cross-character assortative mating, and this is when an individual chooses a mate based on a characteristic that's equally valued, but maybe not the same as the ones that he or she possesses. So this could be like if an intelligent man chooses a beautiful woman, the characteristic of being beautiful is equally important to him or his intelligence, but he doesn't possess that characteristic. Human mating. There's been a lot of controversy over whether it's strategic or involuntary. Theories vary on this subject. So they question if human mating is actually based on strategic choices made or if it's due to forces beyond human control. Freud and Jung have thought that people seek in mates characteristics that resemble images or archetypes of their opposite sex parent. And this is an interesting view on this because you don't really think of yourself as choosing a mate based on, you know, in my case, my dad's characteristics or anything like that, but that was their kind of viewpoint on the subject. Winch theorized that people looked for mates possessing qualities that they themselves lacked. So this would be considered kind of complementary. So you're looking in other people what you think yourself lacks, so you want to kind of make up for it in your partner. Thiessen and Gregg and Rushton kind of supported the theory that likes attract likes. So you look in other people for what you like and you want them to like the same things or things like that. And other viewpoints propose that individuals look for mates with whom they can exchange valuable resources to reach an equilibrium. So they're kind of just looking for kind of compensation in the same theory as well. The overall consensus has been that similarity is the most sought after characteristic that individuals look for in their mates. So traits vary from height, weight, personality, values, and even odd ones that you don't really think about, like earlobe length and nose breadth. Um, so individuals could look for that, and it could be subconscious that you don't really know you're looking for it, but in the end it might turn out that way. Consensual validation is when others' similar ideas and values support your own, so they kind of validate what you think, and there have been a lot of studies that show that individuals look for that in a mate, so they want them to kind of support you and validate what your ideas are and believe them themselves. And another kind of support for this or explanation for why people want similar characteristics in their mate is that people tend to be scared of the unknown. That's kind of a broad topic, but that's another explanation for that. Buss's study, the first one I'm going to talk about, was titled Preferences in Human Mate Selection, and it was done in 1986. There was 184 individuals chosen by random, and these were 92 actually married couples, so all of them were married. And each one of them individually were given a questionnaire of 76 characteristics to score based on desirability in a mate. And they were asked to score it from 1 to 5. So they were given random characteristics, and they were asked to write down 1 if it's not important to you at all, or write down 5 if it's very important when you're looking for a mate. These characteristics represented social, physical, personal, goal, and background attributes in mates. The results as a whole group were pretty interesting. The 10 most desired characteristics in a mate ranged from good companion, considerate, honest, affectionate, dependable, intelligent, kind, understanding, interesting to talk to, and loyal. And the least desired characteristics in a mate from the group as a whole was wants a large family, dominant, agnostic in religious matters, night owl, early riser, tall, and wealthy. So those two categories kind of vary, as you can see. And then the study talked about women versus men, the results that they found. And women's overall desired values in a mate were considerate, honest, dependable, kind, understanding, fond of children, good earning capacity, ambitious, career-oriented, good family background, and tall. And men's desired values were the top ones, I guess. There's not that many, but there's physically attractive, good-looking, good cook, and frugal. And that kind of, those two lists are very greatly, as you can see. The women kind of care more about their personalities and how men are gonna treat them and their children, and be more family oriented, and men's kind of were more oriented in the attractiveness and what they're gonna do for them. Speed dating was also a topic that was mentioned when I was researching this topic, and it's an interesting subject because researchers can study the immediate choices that are made by men and women based on what they want in a partner, and they have a brief amount of time to decide, and these studies have shown that people tend to say yes to people who share similar characteristics as themselves, which supported Buss's study as well, and the one before that. Also, research showed that speed daters tend to be attracted to others who selectively like them only. So these speed daters don't say yes to every other speed dater, and people find that attractive when they only choose themselves. And lastly, both men and women were not accurately able to predict what characteristics they wanted in their speed dating partner. So they didn't really know what they wanted, but once they chose it, they could tell. The second Buss study that I'm going to talk about is on cultural differences in mate preferences. This is interesting as well. It was tested on 37 cultures. So 37 samples were taken from 33 countries, and these sample sizes varied from 55 individuals to over 1,400 individuals. And all of these sample sizes were greater than 100, except for the one that was 55, which is kind of an outlier. But the ones that were over 100 people were actually pretty taken into consideration more. And they collected data on the individuals and questions regarding their preferred characteristics of a mate. The notable results and conclusion of this study were that earning potential and ambitiousness were very important. 36 of the 37 samples, the women value this more than the men, which also supported the Buss's first study saying that of the two tables that I already talked about, women valued more career-oriented and ambitious men than did men for the women. This represented a sex difference in what men and women wanted in a mate. Also ages. All 37 samples, the males preferred younger mates, so they valued mates with higher reproductive capacity, and this is also interesting, and I'll talk about that. This shows, these two kind of values of men and women show that sex differences in mate preferences stem from evolutionary constraints on reproductive success. So women were limited in the past to access of resources for self and their offspring, and men in turn were limited to access to fertile females. So this represents selective pressure and sexual selection. So it kind of carries on to our generation now and adults and what they prefer in mates. And then this is just my references. And so overall, when choosing mates, it's based on several things, it can't just be narrowed down to one. And in the end result, men and women vary greatly in what they want. So that's all.